tabe ātmā veci kare ṛṇera śodhana bhāvi ācārya karena ārādhana bhāvi ācārya karena ārādhana. Okay. Tabe, then, ātmā, himself, veci, selling, kare, does, ṛṇera, of the debt, śodhana, payment, eta, thus, bhāvi, thinking, ācārya, Advaita Ācārya, karena, does, ārādhana, worshipping. Thus, translation, thus the Lord liquidates the debt by offering himself to the devotee. Considering in this way, the Ācārya began worshipping the Lord. Purport, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Śrīla Prabhupada. Through devotional service, one can easily please Lord Kṛṣṇa with a leaf of the Tulsi plant and a little water. As the Lord says in the Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 9, text 26, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or some water, patraṁ, puṣpaṁ, phalaṁ, toyam, when offered with devotion, very much pleases him. He universally accepts the service of his devotees. Even the poorest of devotees in any part of the world can secure a small flower, fruit, or leaf, and a little water. And if these offerings, and especially Tulsi leaves and Ganges water, are offered to Kṛṣṇa with devotion, he is very satisfied. It is said that Kṛṣṇa is so much pleased by such devotional service that he offers himself to his devotee in exchange for it. Śrīla Advaita Ācārya knew this fact, and therefore he decided to call for the Personality of Godhead Kṛṣṇa to descend by worshipping the Lord with Tulsi leaves and the water of the Ganges. You can repeat the translation. Thus the Lord liquidates the debt by offering himself to the devotee. Considering in this way, the Ācārya began worshipping the Lord. Umagyanatimirandasya ganandjana salakaya chakshurlanmilitam jena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya manobishtam stapitam jena bhutale svaya rupa gadamayam dadati svapatandikam panchakopa tirubhishcha kripasindubhya evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Thank you all for being here this morning. This is my first class in maybe 2 months. I was away for a little time. You have to be careful what you wish for. We always say, be careful what you wish for. Here in Vrindavan, so hot, so hot. Some months ago, I planned a trip, went to Atlanta for Panihati Festival. And they even had a mango festival a few weeks later. Went to New York Rath Yatra. Everything was very wonderful. Devotees are so nice. The weather was perfect. But I realized to leave Vrindavan is a very scary thing. seeing how Śrīla Prabhupada leaving Vrindavan, he says that, right? It's so very comfortable in Vrindavan, in that little room at Radha Damodar temple. He was very comfortable. But he left to bring Vrindavan to all of us. But there came a point after about a month where we were praying, please Krishna Balaram, just bring us back to Vrindavan. No place like Vrindavan. And when you go to temples, they'll tell you that. You come to Vrindavan, so very special. Vrinda, Tulsi Devi, Vrindavan, very special place. Not to be taken for granted, to be able to be here. I know myself and all of us, we should always pray, Gaurnitai, Krishna Balaram, Radhashama Sundar, that they let us remain here to do service to them. Very fortunate to be here. And as we see here, Advaita Ācārya offering Tulsi leaves, such simple thing, but the pure devotee of the Lord. Pure devotee of the Lord offering the pure devotee. Tulsi leaf, Ganga Devi, simply offering devotees. We know when you go into Ganga, you go into Jamuna, what everybody just gets the water. You offer to Ganga, back to the Lord. Nowhere like here. So I actually did a little research. I want to read you one purport from Śrīla Prabhupada. Now this is in the 4th canto, 8th chapter. So that means Prabhupada was translating the 5th canto in 1975. So maybe this is 1973, 1974 when he's doing this. And Prabhupada says, it is specifically mentioned herein that the Tulsi leaves are very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devotees should take particular care to have Tulsi leaves in every temple and center of worship. When Prabhupada came, there were no Tulsi. There was no Tulsi Devi here, well, not here, there in the West, in the U.S. Perhaps there was, hidden here and there could have been a few. But within our society for the first few years, wasn't any Tulsi Devi. Prabhupada says, in the Western countries, while engaged in propagating the Krishna consciousness movement, we were brought great unhappiness. He's saying he became unhappy because we could not find Tulsi leaves. Sometimes I have my Giriraj, my Govardhan. If you don't have Tulsi leaves, you think, what can I do? Without Tulsi, we say in the West, the icing on the cake. We know here, when we have our big festival days, how many plates get put on the altar? I don't even know, 200, 300 plates. It takes 15, 20 minutes just to bring in all the offerings to the Lord on the festival days. And it covers everywhere in the altar, everywhere on the floor, everywhere on the tables, plates, offerings, hundreds. And then for the last few minutes you have a few pujaris. Tulsi leaf on every offering. Must have Tulsi leaf on every offering. We are very much obliged, therefore, to our disciple, who? Govindadasi, Srimati Govindadasi. I'm actually very fortunate. Govindadasi considers myself family. Years ago she would stay with us for some time. She had no family of her own. She would stay with us. Like most of Śrīla Prabhupada's disciples, unique individual. But the service she has rendered to Śrīla Prabhupada from 1967, actually she was practically Prabhupada's servant, her and her husband. So much so she even asked Prabhupada one day, because every day Prabhupada's getting massage. She said, can I give you a massage? Prabhupada said, no. That's not possible. There he drew the line. Cooking was going on. She was taking dictation, answering the letters, taking dictation, typing, all these things. But that was it. Prabhupada said, no, no. And we were so innocent, so simple, we thought, why not? She's thinking, why can't I give you my son? Prabhupada said, I'm sannyasi. Prabhupada says, we're very much obliged, therefore, to our disciple Govinda Dasi, because she has taken much care to grow tulsi plants from seeds, and she's been successful by the grace of Krishna. These seeds, Prabhupada says in one other place, that might come up in something I'm reading. He says, I think I brought those seeds, he said, to the West, from Vrindavan. So, somehow or other, by Krishna's arrangement, the first place those seeds went was to Hawaii. You have never seen Tulsi until you've seen Tulsi in Hawaii. Tulsi, if you don't even have to throw the seeds. If one Tulsi plant comes up, literally, Govinda Dasi is telling, Prabhupada, I have 200 little baby Tulsi plants. We don't know what to do with them. We had one, before coming here 5 years ago, we lived in Hawaii for some years. I have one devotee friend, he had a pickup truck. So in the back of the pickup truck, right at the front of the, what do you call it, the truck part itself, there was a little dirt, along the edge, because he was always bringing things in and out. Out of that dirt, this deep, a Tulsi plant came up in the truck. Our place, we had this beautiful Tulsi Devi. She grew out of a crack between two stones. Within a year, she was 8 foot high. I'm not exaggerating. In Hawaii, the Tulsi plants, you can't stop them. Such a blessed place. Prabhupada said it was a special place. He said good for yogis. Hawaii, he said, was very special. Energy was very special. And he said it was heaven on earth. He said if there's heaven on earth, it's in Hawaii. You would take hikes into the mountains. You'll find Tulsi Devi just growing wild in the mountains. One devotee has a house. In front of the house they have sidewalks, and then at the edge of the sidewalk there's like a 1 foot thing, soil, dirt, grass, all Tulsi plants in front of the house. Just continually grow. The one in our yard, it was like this, coming out of a crack. It was this thick, this Tulsi plant. And then we had to move. And we brought one, my godbrother, Kavi, Hawaiian devotee. He came and we took her out of the ground and we transplanted her to the new place we were going. Much to the chagrin of the landlord who lived right next to us, because we had to pull up all the stones to do it. But we did it. We had to take Tulsi. So important she is. In Hawaii in those times, so she came, Tulsi Devi, I think maybe 1969, 1970 was when the first Tulsi plants came. So Prabhupada told them what to do in Hawaii. It began the worship of Tulsi Devi. So of course he gave us these prayers we recite. And after Mangal Artik and Sundar Artik, Tulsi worship would go on. I hear they used to do it here until some years ago. For some reason they stopped doing evening worship of Tulsi Devi. But very important. So in Hawaii, the first Artiks, in 66, they would call Artik the bells, because they just rang bells. So for the first few Artiks to Tulsi Devi, they weren't using incense to offer Tulsi, they were using sparklers. Do you know what sparklers? You light them and they're like little tiny fireworks, just sparkle. So they would use sparklers, offer Tulsi, and then they would offer the lamp and the flower afterward. And Prabhupada said, of course, no, not sparklers. You just do like this. And they were so big that they took over everywhere on the property in Hawaii. So even going into the temple, you had Tulsi on each side. So she's growing, 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 and then she's growing out into the pathway. No one knew what to do. You know, it's Tulsi Devi, she's pure devotee. So they said, Prabhupada, it's okay to trim her. Can we trim her back so we have the path? What did he say? No, don't trim her. When they would say she's struggling sometimes, we see all the time on social media, people will give you a picture of their Tulsi Devi, the leaves drooping, and what to do. What did Prabhupada say is necessary for the very happy growth of Tulsi Devi? Devotion. It's the only thing he ever said, devotion. He said, if your devotion is there, Tulsi Devi will thrive. Yes, Tulsi will thrive with devotion. Little water at proper times. Sometimes she gets overwatered. That's also just as dangerous as not watering as giving her too much water. But anyway, devotion, that's all required. And as far as, not only did he say you couldn't trim her, he said you couldn't pass over her shadow. Tulsi Devi. Can't even pass over the pure devotee's shadow. They said, well, Prabhupada, what are we going to do? We can't even. He said, well, that's a dilemma. Sometimes Prabhupada would just say, dilemma. You can't do and you can't not do. You just somehow have to manage. Tulsi Devi. In Los Angeles, Prabhupada's garden, that's when I joined him. I first went in that garden in 1973. Well, actually 72 when I went there in May. And there were several Tulsi plants. Los Angeles, also nice climate. Tulsi did very well there. Prabhupada said his garden in Los Angeles said is my favorite place in the world. Why? Because Tulsi Devi was in there. He said, I'm happy just staying here by Tulsi Maharani. Huh? How special. Yeah, like after Mangal Arti, sometimes don't leave before Tulsi worship. Huh? Very important. I'll read that too. There's something Prabhupada says. What did I do? Just one little more thing we'll read. Tulsi leaves are very important in the method of worshiping the Supreme Personality. In this verse, the word salilai means by the water. Of course, Dhruva Maharaj was worshiping on the bank of the Jamuna. The Jamuna and Ganges are sacred. Sometimes devotees in India insist that the deity must be worshipped with water of the Ganges or Jamuna. But here we understand Desha Kala to mean according to time and country. In the Western country, there is no river Jamuna or Ganges. Water from such sacred rivers is not available. Does this mean that the Archa worship should, for that reason, be stopped? No. Salilai refers to any water, whatever is available. But it must be very clear and collected purely. So that water can be used. The other paraphernalia, flower, garlands, fruits, vegetables, should be collected according to your country and according to their availability. Tulsi leaves are very important for satisfying the Lord. So as far as possible, an arrangement should be made for growing Tulsi leaves. Dhruva Maharaj was advised to worship the Lord with fruits and flowers available in the forest. So when I've seen in letters, especially 1971, Prabhupada telling everyone, get Tulsi seeds from Govinda Dasi. He said, or you can get them from St. Louis, the temple in St. Louis. Tulsis were growing. There was a problem because from Hawaii, even though it's part of the United States, it's a little island in the middle of the Pacific, you're not allowed to bring any fruit into Hawaii, or you're not allowed to take anything out of Hawaii. So legally, she was not even able to mail Tulsi seeds. She had bags. I was there 1975 through 1980, and for some time I was managing the temple. We would have after class. No one could go to breakfast. We would all go outside and pick manjaris for a half an hour. The whole temple. It was actually very wonderful. It brought everybody together doing the same thing. Temple president, everyone all the way down. It was all we did. Everyone got a pair of scissors. So much Tulsi. And still it's like that. She's everywhere. It's such a wonderful service. So Los Angeles, Prabhupada also appreciating Tulsi. There's one other thing I wanted to read. Let me see. Yes. We had our restaurant in Hawaii. Govinda's restaurant. Very first Govinda's restaurant. First restaurant in ISKCON was in Hawaii. I also managed that restaurant for some time. And just like you do here, they would make garlands out of the manjaris for the panchatattva, gornitai, for gornitai. And after they were offered, we developed this thing where we would take these garlands, all these manjaris, and we'd bring them to the restaurant. It was offered. And we'd make Tulsi tea. So we'd literally boil the water, then we would put the Tulsi in, the Tulsi manjaris. So some people were complaining and saying that you can't put the Tulsi Devi in the hot water like that. She's pure devotee of Krishna. You can't do that. It's for Krishna's pleasure, not for ours. Of course, we thought, well, they're offered Tulsi. And I don't know if you ever had Tulsi tea. Very, very, very tasty, very sweet, very wonderful, very subtle. And so one day, Prabhupada came. I was his servant at that time, and Prabhupada came to Govinda's restaurant. And he sat down. In the restaurant, we had the usual thali, and then we had steamed vegetables, samosas, pakoras. But the biggest seller was this sandwich made in a big chapati sandwich with cheese, sprouts, lettuce, tomatoes, and it was all grilled. It was very popular, very good. So Prabhupada came and we gave him one of our chapati sandwiches, and we gave him a glass of Tulsi tea. What is this? His famous line, he'd look, what is this? Never knew what we were doing there, what we were giving him, you know. It was Tulsi tea, Śrīla Prabhupada. Okay. So he drank it and all. But then he said, you shouldn't cook Tulsi. He said you can make, we call it in the West, sun tea. He said you can put the water outside, just in a jug, glass jug, put all the Tulsi manjaris in it and just let it steep there. And it also turns into a tea, but you're not cooking. So then we were doing that. So then 1976, I'll read this a little bit to try to keep on track. But Govinda Dasi. Prabhupada, can I ask one question? On the Tulsi plants, sometimes we're taking and putting them, we're boiling them in water and make this nice tea. I've been told it's wrong. Is it okay? We're wondering, not. Prabhupada, not wrong. So this was Prabhupada. The year before, it was wrong. So this year he's saying not wrong. Is it wrong to heat the Tulsi, to put her in hot water? Is it okay? No, it's not wrong. But they're constantly doing that? Well, there's so much Tulsi, they sell it. Tulsi tea at the restaurant. The people like it. And then Harisari, he's serving. But Prabhupada, Govinda says it's very tasty. Harisari, Prabhupada said it's all right. Yes, that's very tasty. Again, there's just tons of Tulsi, there's so much. Prabhupada, no, that they cannot drink themselves for the customers. So now Prabhupada made a differentiation between customers and the devotees in the restaurant. But wait till you hear why. Not what you think. All right, not good for devotees to drink? Now Harisari says, no, because it encourages tea drinking habit. It's a habit to drink tea. Harisari said that. And Govinda said, oh, I see. And Prabhupada says, Tulsi drink. The drink is very palatable. So you never know what Prabhupada wants sometimes. It's very palatable, Prabhupada. Yes, I used to put Tulsi in your water, you remember? Whenever he came to Hawaii. It's the only place there was Tulsi in ISKCON was Hawaii. Well, when the water is boiled and poured in, it's supposedly very medicinal. And they drink the tea with a little bit, maybe honey. Customers like it. But I heard it's an offense. Prabhupada says, no. As soon as we like it, that's sense gratification. That's what he didn't like. And this is what he says. But we like prasadam, Govinda Dasi says. I didn't know it was wrong. Prabhupada, no. Govinda, I thought to heat the Tulsi, what I heard. Prabhupada, Tulsi leaf you can take. But, Govinda Dasi, eat, but not the, Prabhupada, but this tea habit, that means we may revive our tea drinking. Oh, I see. Otherwise, Tulsi leaf eating is good. You can eat the leaf, especially palatable with water. And we do that. We offered water, you put the Tulsi leaf in the water. That's good. But you make it imitation tea. That means I remember tea drinking. You see the pure devotee, how they see things. Yes. I told you before, do we have that in Prabhupada's room there? He has this little silver thing, it's like this long, very thin, and it has a little slide. You slide it one way, it's a toothpick, a silver toothpick. You slide it the other way, ear cleaner. So one day Prabhupada's in his room, he has prasadam, and there's a devotee in the room. So after Prabhupada finished prasadam, depending on what he would take out his toothpick. And after eating, he'd be sitting down and be picking at his teeth with his toothpick. So then the devotee's looking and he's saying, oh, Prabhupada's cleaning his mouth, cleaning his teeth. And he said, oh, Prabhupada, he said, I just finished. I'll go brush my teeth after prasadam. Prabhupada said, no. He said, after you use a toothpick. He said, you brush your teeth before eating, not after. You use a toothpick. Why? Because you have prasadam in your mouth. Not only did Prabhupada say not waste one grain of rice, even the prasadam within your teeth should go down. Don't even spit this at nothing. Prasadam. This is pure devotee. Understands. I didn't even know it was like that. But then I see everything Prabhupada did. The details of what he did. I told you, I never saw his nails grow. They grew, but he was, every few days he would cut his nails, his toenails, his fingernails. Never. When he gave Brahmin initiation to one devotee, he was working on the Rath Yatra cart in New York. Prabhupada gave him Brahmin initiation. Prabhupada looked at his fingers. He said, go wash your hands. You're Brahmin. The boy was intelligent. He didn't say, well, I've been working on the Rath Yatra. That doesn't matter. I don't care. You're working down in the sewers. You come out, you have to be spotless. Devotees always spotless. And Prabhupada told him, clean those nails. You should never see dirt under. There should never even be enough nail to have dirt under it. This is how Prabhupada did things. Pure devotee of Krishna. Everything, every detail, every moment, every breath, every step. He said that at Bhaktivedanta Manor, Prabhupada was preaching to some Indians. They came to the manor that one day. Prabhupada really didn't like this tea drinking. We know he told even Mukunda in the very beginning. Mukunda tells that story. He went into Prabhupada's room one day with a cup of tea because he had sore throat, cold or something. What is that? It didn't matter what was in the cup. It just looks like you're drinking tea. And that's sense gratification. How far do I have to go? Huh? Not be attached to sense gratification. So these Indians are in Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada's talking, no tea drinking. You may as well tell Indian, you may as well tell them, cut your throat, kill yourself. If you can't drink tea, we know. His wife, she was attached to tea. So Prabhupada said, no tea. He said, you can have a nimbu pani. That's okay. Prabhupada said it was his favorite drink from his childhood. He said a couple annas. I don't even know what an anna was. I guess that was before Paisa. It got divided into annas, right, back in those days. He said, very nice, nimbu pani. He said, so you can drink nimbu pani. And they're like, pfft. And then he said, my wife, she was also attached to this tea drinking, he said. And I would tell her, you have to stop. She was devotee, not like she wasn't devotee, but she's very attached. It's addictive, the caffeine is addictive. So Prabhupada always told you have to give up the tea. And he looked at them, these householder couples, a few of them. He said, so I told her, either the tea goes or I go. He said, and here I am. So, Prabhupada had a very nice sense of humor. So he said the whole reason he left was because she wouldn't give up drinking tea. That was his cause for leaving. We know that was a joke. And then I always remember here, 74, when I was dying, next to Prabhupada's sitting room. And he came through and everybody's eating prasadam and I was malaria, just lying on the floor. And Prabhupada looked. He looked at all of them eating. He said, is anyone taking care of Sruta Kirti? As soon as he said that, I felt better, I think, just hearing. He said, take care of him. He said, someone get him a bed. Bring him a nimbu pani. I said, bring him a nimbu pani. I was like, yay! And my first experience, I've told this, but we'll tell this little. We have a few minutes, so I'll tell it. My first experience with Śrīla Prabhupada and Tulsi Devi was also here in Vrindavan, right at Radha Damodar Temple. I told you, today is, what is today? July 22nd. So I can mention this. I was initiated, first initiation, July 22nd, 1971, in Brooklyn, New York, by Śrīla Prabhupada, along with many God brothers, Sruta Dev, Sruta Shrava, Rabinda Sarup, his wife, Kirti Raj. So today's 53 years ago. 53 years. Another 53 lifetimes, I be where you are. 53 years. So, and then May 1972 in Los Angeles, Srila Prabhupada gave me Brahmin initiation, gave me my sacred thread. So then Prabhupada, I was not his servant, I went back to New Vrindavan, became the head cook. New Vrindavan was like Vrindavan. We had no running water in the house, it was a farm. No running water, no gas stove, electric stove, we had wood stove, we had a well outside the house, no bathroom in the house, it was austere. So we would bathe outside by a creek in the dark at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like now you see we had the full moon, which we can't see because it's cloudy, but you get light. But when you're out there in the wilderness, there's no moonlight, dark. Anyway, I bathed, went back into the kitchen, prepared the plates for the deities, the milk sweets for Mangalartik, which I made the night before. I put them all, set them up on the altar, then I went outside to say Gayatri, and my thread was gone. It just disappeared. I had just gotten it a few days before from Prabhupada's hand, and it disappeared. So I figured it went down the creek when I was bathing. Anyway, I was in tears. I figured Prabhupada chanted, now it's all gone. Kirtananda said, no, it's okay, I'll make you a new thread, just see how sincere you are, your tears show your sincerity. Anyway, that was in August. So now it's October 15th and I'm in Vrindavan, Prabhupada's servant, first time outside of the USA, and I'm in Vrindavan at Radha Damodar Temple, October 15th for 1 month. So then ISKCON comes. What do we do on ISKCON? We change our Brahmin thread. Is it here? We change our the deities, Brahmin threads are changed every ISKCON. There in the Samadhi, Prabhupada's Brahmin thread is changed. So that's what I was told. Change Prabhupada's Brahmin thread. So of course, me, my devious little mind, figured, now I can get Prabhupada's thread. We'll get the new thread. I'll take his old thread. Imagine, I'm with him 24 hours a day. As all I had to do was just say, Prabhupada, tell him what happened, and he would have smiled and said, don't worry, or he would have given me a thread. But no, not me. I'm tricky, underhanded. But I thought, this is my opportunity. Every day I would arrange Prabhupada's desk while he was bathing, get his tilak ready, open the mirror, put the chandan in a little cup, little katuri, had his little lota, no bigger than a golf ball. It was a little lota with the water for putting, had a little spoon. He would do exactly the same every time. How many spoonfuls? Everything was the same. So I'm on the veranda in between his kitchen and his sitting room. And I'm watching as Prabhupada puts on his tilak. Every day, same. Putting on his tilak. And he picks the thread up off of the table, puts it over his shoulder. We've got his old thread and his new thread, and he'd sit very straight, and his fingers would be out like that, and down. And I'm sitting there thinking, finally I'm going to get my Brahminical qualities back. And I'm watching him. Then he walks past me, goes right into the kitchen. As he passes, I offer obeisances, and he walks into the kitchen. Jamuna's going to give him lunch. So I get up, I run right into Prabhupada's room, and I take the thread off the table. And I go to sit down and put it on. Prabhupada ripped every thread. He cut every thread on the Brahmin thread. I was with him 2.5 years. He never did it again. But today, he did it. Because he knew what I was going to do. 100%. He knew exactly what I was going to do. But I did it. And I grabbed it. And I thought, that's okay. And I tied the knots back together again. And I put it on, chant my Gayatri. I'm so happy, I finally have Prabhupada's thread. Prabhupada finishes lunch, opens the screen door, and walking by on the veranda. I'm right in the middle of the veranda. Of course, as he walks by, what do? You offer obeisances. So I'm offering obeisances. My head's on the ground, but I see these 2 lotus feet stopped right in front of me. And I looked up, and Prabhupada looks at me. He said, that Brahmin thread? I said, yes. He said, bury it under the Tulsi plant. Imagine Tulsi Devi's status. Imagine Śrīla Prabhupada's status. He said to put his Brahmin thread under the Tulsi plant. Who could say that? Who would dare do such a thing? Put your Brahmin thread under the Tulsi plant. Prabhupada said, why? Because he knew I took it and I was doing all these things. So that's what he told me to do. I didn't do it. No. That was my first instruction that I didn't follow. And of course, Prabhupada also knew that, but he never brought it up. He never brought it up. So I was with him all through 1975. Everywhere we go, I'm the Brahmin thread guy. We'd sit in front of Prabhupada's door. As all the new Brahmins would come in, I'd have to hand them their Brahmin thread. And if you don't give it to them like this, I guarantee you half of them are going to knot it, trying to take it apart. I'm sure you've all done it once or twice when you try to untangle it when you buy them. If you don't do everything perfectly, you'll knot it. So anyway, 1975, Prabhupada's in Mayapur. And he gives first initiation, second initiation. I'm out the door handing the Brahmin threads very happily. That was the end of that. I didn't go back to Mayapur for 30 years. 30 years. 2005 was the next time I went to Mayapur. And it was, of course, Gaur Purnima festival, and they're having Prabhupada Katha. They had the tents, the pandals they made for Katha. Big pandal, like this room. A lot of chairs. Of course, Gaur Purnima time, lots of mosquitoes. But people were attending, and I spoke, and then I sat down in a chair listening to the next person. And about 10 chairs over, I have a godbrother sitting there, Grahasta. And he got my attention, and he's like calling me over. So I go over, sit down, and like so many have said, do you know who I am? And I'll usually, even if I don't remember, I'll say, yeah. And I always said, yes, you're from Mayapur. You have been in Mayapur. He said, yes. He said, I've been in Mayapur. He said, you don't remember? I said, remember what? He said, I got Brahmin initiation in 1975 here in Mayapur. He said, you were Prabhupada's servant, right? I said, yes. He said, you don't remember? I kept saying, no, I don't remember. He said, well, one at a time, we'd go into Prabhupada's room. He said, and you're outside the door, and you handed me the thread. Of course, everyone's nervous. Going into Prabhupada's room, just Prabhupada in there, do anything. What if he talks to me? What if he asks me a question? You're always nervous. Anyway, he went into Prabhupada's room. He's telling me this story. And he had the thread, and he couldn't get it apart. He tried, but he made a big mess of it. And again, he was nervous. For some reason, Shyamasundar Sundar was in the room, his secretary. His secretary was in the room. So, of course, the boy gets very nervous. He's just a young boy, 20 years old, 21, getting Brahmin initiation. He's all nervous. So he turns around to his secretary, Prabhupada's secretary. said, could you help me? And Prabhupada looks at him. He said, take it to Sruta Kirti. He knows what to do. So 3 years later, Prabhupada's poking me. But I didn't hear it then. So he still let me hear it 30 years later. Took 30 years for me to understand how Prabhupada seeing everything you do, and he's going to poke you if you do something wrong. Even with a smile. I'm sure he was smiling. Imagine, say, take it to, he said, Shamasun, no, take it to Sruta Kirti. He can tie knots, he can do all kinds of things with Brahman thread. So again, he was letting me know, I know everything you do. Don't think you can hide. I see everything you do. And he didn't like trickery. He liked honesty. He liked humor. You could make all the jokes you want, but don't try to trick your spiritual master. So I learned that, but I was very happy to understand Prabhupada's present. We always say that, he hasn't left. But there's practical proof. Sometimes he'll show you. He's right there. He's right there. So for us, we have to take the mercy of pure devotee. There was one other. What did I say? I don't even know where I put my phone. Here it is. One other line I'll read, and then if there's any questions, quick question or something. The more you devote yourself to the service of Tulsi, the more you will understand and relish Krishna consciousness. She's so important, Tulsi Devi. So any questions, comments, corrections? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, it's wonderful. So, how Śrīla Prabhupada pays debt to his guru, because he paid a debt with incommensurable, he became the Jagat Guru. Can you describe his mindset? He wanted to preach all around the world, and how Śrīla Prabhupada pays debt. Śrīla Prabhupada, he preached around the world, he went in many countries, and yeah. What was his main project and plan?
What was his
plan, project?
Project?
Plan.
I don't
Plans.
know. What was his plan?
Oh, that.
I think Prabhupada was very good, just like ourselves. Sometimes we have plans, and then we laugh. We say, how we make our plans, Krishna laughs. I mean, I see that practically in my own life over the last couple of months. Krishna arranges everything. And for Srila Prabhupada as well. You know, he knew that everything he did, everywhere he went. Prabhupada had his mission from the very beginning to preach Krishna consciousness in the English language to the Westerners. So that, Prabhupada would say that was the plan. My Guru Maharaj gave me this service, and he spent, the last so many years of his life just implementing that and seeing Krishna's doing everything. Pure devotee feels that they're not doing anything. Prabhupada would always say, all this glorification, just like even Vyas Puja, he would say, all this is for my Guru Maharaj. He said, everything you say applies to him, not to me. That's the humility of pure devotee. They can change, as Prabhupada did, the entire world by their purity. I had a few other things, maybe. Any other questions? And Govinda Dasi, she brought to Los Angeles a bag of seeds, bag of manjaris for Srila Prabhupada. So then he finally took them, and she had flown from Hawaii, so there's 3-hour difference. So it was 7:45. And of course, Prabhupada always, when you came to see him from anywhere, he'd say, did you have prasadam? Always, did you have prasadam? Go take prasadam, or have prasadam brought to you. Always did that. So he said that to Govindadasi, did you have prasadam? And she says, well, it's early for me, Prabhupada. It's 7:45 here, but for me it's only, 4:45. She said, so I haven't eaten yet. He said, well, let me give you something. Prabhupada, as we know, he took his Yogendra Ras every other morning. He took it with black cardamom. The black cardamom seeds you would open up. They look brown on the outside. You would open it up. Lots of seeds. 10, 20 cardamom seeds in it. And that would get crushed along with his medicine and honey. So he had this little thing of cardamom seeds on his desk. So he's saying, have you had anything? And she's, well, no, Prabhupada. He said, well, let me give you something. So he takes a cardamom seed and he hands her the cardamom seed, prasadam, Mahaprasadam now coming from Śrīla Prabhupada's hand. And he gives it to her. She didn't know what it was. I wouldn't have known 1972, 71. When I became a servant, I knew what it was. And she said, what's this? He said, it's poison. He said, you can eat it. And she's like, well, Prabhupada, what is it? He said, it's poison. And then he said, you can open it. So she opened it. He said, it's cardamom seeds. He said, you can eat it whole, the whole cardamom seed. He said, you can take the seeds out and eat them. He said, it's very good digestive. He said, and if you have bad breath, he said, it also will cure your bad breath. So he gave her cardamom seed, told her it was poison. This was Śrīla Prabhupada, huh? Always, everything he did just made you want to just fall at his feet and just serve him. Even hug him, but take his feet. I always say that now. More and more I realize Prabhupada looked at us and he must have been laughing internally a lot. Because we were doing artik with sparklers, we had no idea what we were doing. And how carefully and how patience. I'm also seeing more and more how much patience. This is 1971, 5 years later, Prabhupada starting Tulsi worship. Huh? Years before he had āratik ceremonies, getting up in the early morning. He didn't just demand. He filled everyone up with prasadam and the Mahamantra. Okay, everyone looks very quiet, ready to go back to air-conditioned rooms, take prasadam. Thank you all very much. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi ki jai. Hare Krishna.